Hi everyone, my name is John. Welcome back to my channel. It is October 27th, 2021. I had to look in the bottom right of my laptop to know the date. I wouldn't know otherwise. And instead of bringing you a book review today, what I want to do is show you some new things that I've added to my library since the last time I showed you any new books. So for most people, at least here in the States, October is the time when a lot of libraries have their book sales. And I have the results of two of those, plus a couple of other things from some various places that I wanted to show you. I know it's been a couple of months since I think I showed any new books, so let me start with the thing that, oh god, this thing has to weigh 20 pounds. It is actually 3 books. Well, depending on how you count, it could be many more. You'll see what I mean in a second. This is a treat for myself, just for being me. This is the Robert Alter translation of the Hebrew Bible. You've invariably seen this several different places on YouTube. If you watch channels that have nonfiction included in them, whether this is nonfiction or not, I won't comment on, but you know what I mean. One thing I did not realize about these books were the covers. They have, at least my version has these really sort of geometric abstractions on them. It's an odd juxtaposition with the very sort of austere looking white and gold, and then you have these sort of Kandinsky-esque paintings on the back and the front. Yes, so with footnotes and with a Robert Alter translation, I think I'll be much more motivated to reread the Hebrew Bible. I apologize earlier if I called it the Old Testament. That's should be calling it the Hebrew Bible. So there's about 14, 15 other books, and this was one I found at local library, not a local library sale, but they just occasionally pull things. And this is Russian Thinkers by Isaiah Berlin. I think Berlin these days is mostly considered, and by the way, probably should pronounce it the way apparently he pronounced it, which is Isaiah Berlin. I think Berlin is kind of considered demode these days, a little bit out of fashion, out of date. However, I have a soft spot in my heart for him because he was one of the writers when I was in high school and my first couple of years in college that I read that really started getting me interested in the history of ideas and philosophy and just the humanities in general. This is centered around, like the title says, Russian thinkers. It has his famous essay on the hedgehog and the fox. It also has an essay on the birth of the Russian intelligentsia, one on Vissarion Belinsky, and another one on Herzen and Bakunin on individual liberty. Just all stuff mostly, excuse me, around 19th century German or Russian thinkers. I found this on Hamilton Books. Excuse me. I found this on Hamilton Books, and it was included in my last order. This is Philosophical Temperaments by Peter Sloterdijk. who I believe is a Dutch-born philosopher, and is wherever he might have been. He might have been German-born. I think it's a Dutch name, though. Is one of the big sort of public intellectuals in Europe, and has written a trilogy of really sort of interesting philosophy books. I've never read any Sloterdijk, and wasn't expecting this to be so thin, but what this is very, very, very short treatments of each of some major philosophers, and each one is literally just 3 or 4 pages long. So essays on Plato, Aristotle, Augustine, Bruno, Descartes, Pascal, Leibniz, Kant, Fichte, Hegel, Schelling, Schopenhauer, Kierkegaard, Marx, Nietzsche, Husserl, Wittgenstein, Sartre, and Foucault. So I will report back. I'll probably read this pretty quickly, especially since there's no reason why I can't. Another library find. This is by a writer I very much admire, in a book by him I didn't even know existed. This is Adam Hochschild's Bury the Chains. Prophets and Rebels in the Fight to Free an Empire's Slaves. This is about the late 18th century, early 19th century battle for abolition in the British Empire. I really like Hochschild. I thought I knew most of the books that he'd written, but apparently I was wrong. Found this. It's in wonderful condition, and the history of slavery is something I'm always fascinated in and interested in learning about. So I got this. Let's see. 2 books that have kind of an interesting story behind them a bit. So these are 2 books by Bruce Catton. This is The Army of the Potomac. I think it's called The Army of the Potomac Trilogy. Yeah. So I don't know what volume this is. That's either 1 or 2 of the trilogy. And as you might guess by the name, Stillness at Appomattox, this is volume 3. Because that's the end of the Civil War. But these are 2 volumes of the Army of the Potomac trilogy by Bruce Catton, the famous Civil War historian. As it turns out, I had these 2 books in almost exactly the same edition at home that I had bought from the bookstore, the thrift store actually, right down the road from my house. So, since I already have these, I might be doing in the next few weeks sort of a holiday themed giveaway where I will make a video, ask that you leave a comment and like the video and make sure you're subscribed to my channel and everything, and I'm planning on probably giving both of these away. Now, just remember that if I do that, or rather, when I do that, these are a trilogy, and there's only 2 of the 3. So if you're a completionist or a stickler for having everything, make sure that there is one thing missing here. But it probably shouldn't be too hard to track down, because I've seen 2 copies of these 2 books. Next is a writer I reviewed last year. I reviewed a book of her selected short stories. It is Shirley Jackson. And this is a one-volume edition of 3 of her, I guess you could call them lesser-known novels. I think everyone can find The Haunting of Hill House and the other one, his name I always forget. Her 2 best-known novels can usually be found as standalone works. But you usually can't find these as easily. So when I saw this, I thought I would just buy the one-volume version. This is The Road Through the Wall, Hangs a Man, and The Bird's Nest. These are all from Road Through the Wall from 1948, Hangs a Man from 1952, and The Bird's Nest published in 1954. Really, really enjoyed her short stories, so I'm eager to read her long-form fiction too. Also, something you've seen absolutely everywhere, and something I don't have a good excuse to not read, and read quickly. Everyone seems to absolutely adore this. 84 Charing Cross Road, sort of an epistolary tale about Helen Hanff's relationship with a bookseller that she carried on for, 2 decades or so? Don't think I've ever heard anyone dislike it, so I snatched it up. I read and reviewed within the past year a novel by Kazuo Ishiguro called The Remains of the Day. And despite having read 1 or 2 other books by him that were totally underwhelming, The Remains of the Day just captured me in a certain way. I don't think any of his other books, certainly any of his other books, had. So when I saw The Unconsoled, I grabbed it. This is, I think, written in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. It's about an artist who gives the most, according to the back, gives the most important performance of his life, but finds himself diverted on a series of cryptic and infuriating errands that nevertheless provide him with vital clues to his own past. So, and in considering that he just won a Nobel Prize, probably should read more of him. Not just won it, but has won it. Should read more of his fiction. A lesser-known Ford Madox Ford novel, The Fifth Queen, which tells the story of Catherine Howard. Not quite sure how faithful this is to history, but it's not The Good Soldier, and it's not, oh goodness, well, what are some of the others that he wrote? Skipping has have old man brain, excuse me. But it has an introduction by A.S. Byatt, and it's one of the novels that I know you don't find too often by Ford. So I wanted to grab it. Historical fiction by Ford Madox Ford. I won't turn that down. I don't think I have this in my William Faulkner collection, so I grabbed it. Intruder in the Dust. I have a dozen Faulkner novels, but I don't think this was one of them. And I have almost everything, I think, by Jane Austen, except the Juvenilia, which I'm not really interested in reading. But I didn't have Persuasion. So I picked up this modern library classics version of Persuasion. I just realized this book has drawings in it, and not from the reader, but actual drawings from the publisher. Of course, not many, so I can't go back and show you. But this is Isaac Denison. This has Out of Africa and Shadows on the Grass. This is from Vintage. Vintage also put out Isaac Denison's, is it Gothic Tales? Oh goodness. 7 Gothic Tales, which I think I might have. The other one I definitely have is, oh goodness, is it Babette's Feast and Other Anecdotes of Destiny? Maybe that one. But this is some of her longer stuff. Also from Hamilton Books, every once in a while you'll find something from Verso on Hamilton, and I'm not quite sure how they get there. Maybe it's Overstock or something. But this is from Verso Publishers, the leftist publisher. This is A World to Win, The Life and Works of Karl Marx by Sven Erik Liedman. Originally published, I believe, in Swedish. Yeah, originally published in Swedish just a few years ago, like 2018 or so. Next up, I found 2. I was really happy to find these just right next to one another, appropriately enough. Maynard Solomon, if you're unfamiliar with the name, was, I believe he's deceased, a great biographer of composers and a great historian of classical music. And he wrote, he's written several biographies of composers, but I found 2 of them in absolutely pristine condition, including his biography of Beethoven. If you are interested in lives of classical composers, this is the person to go to. If he wrote a book on it, it's probably the definitive version of that person's life, or something very close to it. Here's his Beethoven, and also here is his, despite Mozart having lived quite a bit of a shorter, by 20 years, a shorter life, the Mozart book is longer than the Beethoven book. Here is his Mozart, Maynard Solomon's Mozart. I listen almost exclusively to classical music, so, and I, for whatever reason, have never really made a lot of time to read biographies of composers. So this will put a small dent in that. And last but not least, I found just a testament to being diligent and going back and looking through these shelves twice. It is Mike Ashley's British Kings and Queens, the complete biographical encyclopedia of the Kings and Queens of Great Britain. By the way, the thing to pay attention there is the subtitle, the complete biographical encyclopedia of the Kings and Queens of Great Britain. If you think that, we're just going back to the Battle of Hastings here, think again. In fact, most of this book, So they start talking about William the Conqueror, who of course was a Norman and the founder of the House of Normandy, became king in 1066. This is a chronological accounting for the most part of the kings and queens. He appears on page 498 of a book that is roughly 750 pages long. So much of this book, more than half by far, is pre-Norman. So if you're interested in your kings and queens of, Northumbria, Mercia, the Picts, and we're talking about Roman tribes, this would be the place to go. It's especially valuable for that. I mean, the last 200 pages may or may not tell you too much you don't know, depending on your familiarity with, the last 1,000 years of British history, but those first 500 pages are going to be especially fun to sort of look through. This isn't exactly something that you would read cover to cover. It is sort of like an encyclopedia. Each person or house has their own entry, but you kind of could read it as a text because it is, like I said, in chronological order. So, I don't know. But I got it mostly for that older stuff that will fill in a lot of gaps because I don't have a lot of pre-Norman British history in my library. That is it. That's all I have. I went to the book sale. The most successful sale this year was I found 10 books at. And of course, they didn't have it last year for reasons you already know. And the one I found, the one I went to in 2019, I found something like 25 books. When I went this year, I was just sort of not up to browsing through everything twice, so I might have overlooked some stuff. But I think I found some really good things. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know if you've read any of these or read any of the authors. And I will see you next week with a book review, hopefully.